good evening, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Let's get some energy here. Venu shalom aleichem. Everyone, Venu
Shalom Aleichem.
Venu shalom aleichem. Venu shalom aleichem. Venu. Hey, Venu shalom. Hevenu shalom aleichem, hevenu shalom, shalom aleichem. Woo! So we have a lot happening tonight. Thank you everyone for coming. Some of y'all first time here, some of you were at the kickoff campaign. And then you were at a groundbreaking event. And now we're here to the finish line. And please God, next time will be ribbon cutting. So that's what we got. That's what we got. And this time is very different. And everyone who is here, what we are standing at this time is a building happening in front of our eyes, very unlike any event we happened before. But to kind of set the stage, I want to share a story. Happened just a few days ago. I was studying with a kid for his bar mitzvah. He walks into Chabad, not a child in Hebrew school or anything. We believe every child should have a bar mitzvah, regardless of membership. And they walk inside. They finish their lesson. As they are walking out, another child is walking in. And all of a sudden, what? You're Jewish, Charlie? They were sitting together in math class the entire year long. Friends, math class is never going to be the same. I can tell you that. And the reason it's not going to be the same anymore is because now they're not alone, right? Now they're with a chevra. Now they're with someone. And that chance encounter that happened that day in that small little storefront that we have is going to happen hundreds and thousands of times. That is why in Hebrew we call it a bet knesset, which means a house of gathering. A place where people come together that they should never feel that they are alone. So what's going to happen tonight? Very short talks, very focused. A short Dvar Torah from my wife, my dear wife. First of all, first time coming out since the baby, so we are going to have a report from the GC. You see the program in front of us, very exciting. A deep dive into the numbers, a call to action, what community means to us, and finally, how to take this home. What is everyone here supposed to be walking out of the room with? But of course, together with that, there's going to be incredible inspiration. We have a real legend here with us in this room, a pianist, but more importantly, a Jewish hero. So I invite everyone to stay till the end of the evening because it is something you do not want to miss. I want to invite my dear wife, Hannah, who's the real heroine and the real force behind everything that we do over here, to share a very, very short Dvar Torah, which is being recorded.
Hey, Cindy. How do I get the camera off?
Just click on it and you'll find it. You'll see the little microphone.
Today I'm telling you something that's not political, but it's spiritual. I said, in my spirit, I know that you're going to be senator, but I'm seeing you as being the president. I said, let's pray on it. And so we prayed on it. And now we see with fear, faith without fear, and faith living in truth, and understanding that the spirit is that we have to follow that spirit of positivity. Because I believed it, I knew it, I imagined it then. Now we are celebrating it.
Do you guys see a cloudy screen? You do? Okay. Thank you.
Because from the beginning, our mindset was all we have to do is build the nest. Brings us to tonight. Some of you might know that today is a very emotional day, I should say, on the Chabad calendar. 3rd of Tammuz, the red holy year site. 32 years have passed. I'll never forget that day since he physically passed. Usually when 32 years go by, things become more distant. Fade, inspiration start to become history. With the Rebbe, the exact opposite, very opposite happening. The years go by and those nests, they keep growing more and more and more nests. More Chabad houses around the world, more Hebrew schools, there are more teen programs than ever, there are more campus centers, more Shabbat tables, more mezuzot, more Jews walking in after years away. Healing, maybe even without having the words, they walk into a Chabad house and they feel, I belong here, my nest. Because the Rebbe taught us how to see the world, how to see a Jew, how to see ourselves. There's a famous story about George Rohr, famous philanthropist. He once told the Rebbe that he helped organize the Rosh Hashanah service for Jews, and the way he put it is, I organized the Rosh Hashanah service for Jews with no Jewish background. The Rebbe stopped and he said, no Jewish background? Go back and tell them that they have a Jewish background. They have the background, they're the children of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah. Because to the Rebbe, there was no such thing as a Jew with no Jewish background. The Rebbe saw a Jew and the Rebbe saw roots. He saw a neshama. He saw a Jew they might not know it yet. They might not feel it yet. Maybe they didn't have the chance to experience it. But deep down, they already belonged. Jew is never starting from zero. A community is never starting from zero. The life is already there. The connection is already there. Sometimes it's quiet, sometimes it's covered. Sometimes no one ever gave it the warmth or the space. All it needs is a nest. And today, that nest can become something magnificent. Just as holy and nurturing, but with space and the amenities and the beauty that can allow it to attract thousands. So yes, God willing, our building will have the beautiful glass and the bricks and the wood, but it will always remain a nest. It will be a place where no Jew is alone, a place where no child ever feels disconnected, a place where families come and they feel home. You know, Jewish life is filled with that motherly, that maternal kind of care. Not always through one dramatic moment, but twig by twig, leaf by leaf, another phone call, another Shabbat invitation, another child that feels noticed, that feels seen, another teen encouraged, another family feel like home. That's the Rebbe's vision. Have seen what we're building. God,
You know, I think I have a newfound appreciation. Just growing up, you walked into a synagogue and you like assumed it was always there, right? You walked into JCC and all of a sudden now, let me be honest, seeing what is taken of me, some white hairs over here, seeing the incredible investment that it takes on the part of everyone, it gives me a newfound appreciation for the people that built those institutions that allow us to thrive as Jews today. That has been a take-home that I've had throughout this entire ordeal. I want to jump straight into the practical now. I'm going to call up our GC, who's been wonderful throughout this entire process. Give it up for Mark. Let's get the screen going at the same time. Mark.
Hello, my name is Mark Anna. Can they be here?
You can go without it for the next.
Okay, my name is Mark Anna. I'm the president of Resolute Building Company. I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to be your contractor for Chabad. I took over leadership of Resolute a little over 2 years ago. My father's been leading Resolute for over 40 years. Chabad is the first project that's been all on me. So you guys have trusted me with your new home, and that is something that I truly cherish. The Chabad so far has been wonderful. It has been challenging, but it has been wonderful. We're on time. We're on budget. Yeah. On time, on budget. Those are two most important things. Oh, two. Does anybody want to guess how many cubic yards of dirt had to come out of this job site to make this lot happen? I think that's all of Wake County. 12,000 cubic yards of dirt came out of that job site. We had 12 trucks running for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. That's a lot of dirt. But you can see now what the vision for that site is. It is starting to take shape and starting to be a beautiful home for each and every one of you. People ask me why I like construction, why I do what I do. I like to pass or drive around my community and see the different projects. It's a very tangible work that we do. And there are many different forms of constructions and projects, but one of my favorites are places of worship, schools, because those are two of the most important things that you have in your community and for this next generation. You guys have both, so that's a fantastic thing. So where do we go from here? We're over halfway, which is great. We have 4 walls and a roof, a dry roof, which is also a very important thing. And we've got our interior walls. Most of the plumbing and mechanical and electrical and all that stuff is done. We're going to start getting our sheetrock on the walls, and the space is really going to start to take shape. I think you guys are going to love the design. Your gathering space inside is going to be magnificent. It's just truly going to be wonderful. We're close. It's going to maybe not take as many kind of changes from the outside, but a lot of things are going to be happening on the inside. Hopefully, God willing, by the end of the year, you'll have a new home.
Yeah.
And we're going to do our best to improve on that timeline. Keep you in there. It's going to be a push to the finish. You have my word. We're going to drive. We're going to push. We're going to get you in there. Thank you very much for trusting us. Thank you.
And I want to run tonight more like a town hall. I want questions. Does anyone have questions about the physical construction process, timeline? Not numbers yet. We're going to do that in a moment, but anybody? Yeah, please. Speak up, though.
Okay, I think the designer has taken that well into account. A little bit on my realm. What's on the plans in there?
So we have about 47 parking spots. Please God, a lot more than outside. Across the street, there's a humongous shopping center with, Mike, how many? Lots and lots, hundreds. We also have an arrangement with a church down the road in the event of over, parking. Good question. Anybody else? Yes.
I believe the intake is on the roof. Code required. I have to share the plans with you. All rooftop units. Exactly where the makeup area might actually. Where the makeup area is coming in? Yeah, it's coming on.
He can stand there while we go through a few things. I just want to show everyone a little picture of the sanctuary, please God. You can look over there. That is our beautiful, beautiful show with a lot of windows to the side. Of course, it connects to the social hall. They can all be opened up together into one room that is much larger than the room that we are in, please God, right now. Gorgeous lobby, right when you walk in. Starbucks, right then. Awesome coffee. Anytime you walk in, place to schmooze, place to relax. I want to highlight a few things that we did not have before. There's an exciting like indoor, those that have come on Shabbat and like, what do the kids do? Well, just imagine the kids now having playrooms that they can enjoy a Shabbat. See that on the wall? A designer is working on something similar to that. There's also going to be a downstairs dairy. What originally was a small dairy kitchen is now a opened up cafe-like area. That's downstairs. We plan on a lot of Sundays as religious school is ending, opening that up to cafe for anyone from the community that wants to come in. Also other plans for restaurant nights in the big social hall upstairs. So lots of opportunities for people to come together for food, for schmoozing, for simchas. Oh, also new. We have an incredible teen lounge. Yes, that is going to be there, pool tables and air hockey and a place that there's going to be pizza and study once a week. All of this downstairs, that's new right now. And these classrooms, I just want everyone to know, are also going to be doubled up for an after school program, please God, in due time. So children will have supervised homework help and also art and music and Israeli immersion, Hebrew immersion, a lot of other after school activities all happening in these gorgeous classrooms downstairs. Really quickly, if you want to take a look at the floor plan, anyone have questions, but take a look there. You walk into the expansive lobby, you have both the shul and the social hall right then, bathrooms to the side, conference room, that's all upstairs. That is downstairs. Any questions? So when on the high holidays, we're going to have both rooms open together. And what's nice now about having that larger area, the cafe downstairs, is a children's service or something like that could be downstairs. So altogether could be 250 plus seats, please God, when both rooms are connected together. Yes. Any other questions before we move on to some numbers?
Can I ask a question? Can you hear me?
So I believe it's 12,800 if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, after the downstairs.
Correct. And there also is an outdoor deck that I believe is around 800 square feet. And that's going to be amazing for simchas. That's going to be amazing for parents to go outside while your kids are on the playground below after a kiddush. That's going to be amazing to watch the Canes have a party out there. Yeah, go Canes! But that is an outdoor area that we are absolutely looking forward to. And underneath that, we're putting in fans, turf, and it'll be an outdoor area under the deck. And so if it's raining or whatnot, kids still have an outdoor area that is weather protected somewhat. Thank you, Mark. Thank you so much. And again, people can ask questions throughout the entire evening. That is the purpose. Something very important tonight is transparency. This is a very large project. This is a project that is taking a huge amount of money. We're the stewards of that money. We want people to feel comfortable asking questions. We're blessed to have a wonderful finance committee. And I want to ask one member of that finance committee who is integral to our getting the bank loan, discussions with the loan, Laurie Kramer, to come up and do a deeper dive on the numbers. Yeah, I'm going to do that right now. Just share screen. You're good.
How am I advancing it?
So when you go like this, it'll automatically.
Hi, everybody. I'm Laurie Kramer. As Rabbi said, I'm going to walk you guys through some of the numbers, the project costs and where we are to date with fundraising. I first wanted to say another thank you to Mark Resolute. He said, I've had a long career in real estate. He said raises that near and dear to my heart, on time and on budget. So if you look at the slide that's up now, hopefully everybody can see it.
You get the lights for it?
Yeah, maybe it's easier if we turn the lights down. So if you look at this slide, I'll draw your attention to total project cost, which is 9,200,000. This is a big project. So that is the total cost that it's gonna take to build it and get this building open and ready. It includes the cost of land. The biggest number in there you'll see is the 7.2 million, which is the cost to construct the center. And then there's lots of other stuff that has to do with architects and engineers and interest expense and furnishing and equipment, operating expenses, those kinds of things. But the biggest lion's share of it is the 7.2 million in construction costs. So it's a $9.2 million project. We have to fund that, clearly. So far, we have donations that have been received and or pledged the amount of $5 million, which just that alone to date is really amazing. But a big round of applause for that, because that is an incredible number to have done so far. So of that, the $5 million breaks down into 4.2 million that has actually been received and is in the bank or has been spent already towards project costs. We have another 800,000 that's been pledged that is yet to come in, but it's been pledged and earmarked this project. So that leaves us with $4.2 million. We've got $9.2 million cost and $5 million in donations to date. So how that is going to break down is, how do we get there? We need $4.2 million. We have arranged for a loan, which we have at the ready and has already started funding. And that amount is, the amount we can borrow is greater than 2.4 million, but the ideal amount we would like to borrow is 2. And the reason for that is that we have to pay this loan back. And we have to make monthly payments. Once we get the project done and started and in operation, we have to make monthly payments. And the monthly payments have to come out of Chabad's resources, basically from the money that we make by operating Chabad, donations, ongoing, all those kinds of things. So we would like our loan to be something that's manageable for us. So 2.4 million is the amount we have earmarked as the ideal amount. What that means is that we need to raise another 1.8. That will get us to our ideal loan amount. And that's simply, the math is up there. We started with 9.2, we've raised 5 million, that leaves 4.2. Subtract the ideal loan amount of 2.4, that gets us to 1.8 million in additional donations that we would really like to see come in. Okay, so to give you guys an idea of the impact of the additional fundraising, scenario 3, which I have 3 line around, shows you basically that if we raise the additional 1.8 million and we have a loan of 2.4 million, our monthly payment based on that loan amount, once it starts to amortize, and I won't go through all the details of it, but we have a very specific loan in place, and we know what the dollar amounts will be based on what the loan amount is. So if we are successful in having a loan of 2.4 million, the monthly payment is $16,800. The annual payment is $200,000 about. So if you go back to, so that's our goal. If you go to scenario 1, where we do not raise any more money at all, that means our loan would be 4.2 million. And the monthly payment would be 29,000. The annual payment would be 353,000. So what I'm showing in 3 is, if we meet our goal, then the annual difference for Chabad is $150,000 in lower loan payments if we meet our goal of raising 1.8. If we only meet half our goal, so let's say we raise 900,000 more, that means that our loan amount is going to be 3.3. That's this in scenario 2 there. And the difference in that from raising no more money is 75,000 a year. So for every 100,000 we raise, and that's, I did that in the final column on the far right, for every $100,000 that we raise, it reduces our monthly payment by $700 and our annual payment by $8,400. Just to put it in some form of context of what it means to raise more money. So again, our goal is to raise 1.8, but if we don't raise any, then we have a much bigger loan and we have a much bigger annual payment and monthly payment. That's just gonna be harder for us to absorb. Anybody else?
Where did that money come from? First of all, interesting question. How much do you think our monthly rent is now, everybody? So while Grace Park might only be about 4, by the time you have the high holiday rental and our Hebrew school and our storage shed and all the places we rent throughout the year, that ends up being about $8,000 a month. And so in the ideal state of a $16,000 monthly payment, the net on that is $8,000. Now, there's maintenance, there's insurance, there's a lot else, not for now, but that's going to have to be added in our operating budget. Now, bigger building, more people come. More people come, more programs, more donors, more everything. This is investment in the future. But yes, it means a higher operating budget. Last thing I want to quickly say is that obviously we're going to need a lot more income generating activities. We're in discussions with the possibility of a school perhaps opening downstairs. There's going to be kosher stores that are going, kosher restaurant nights and other activities that are going to bring in more income to help cover that difference. Any other questions? Yes. So I want to, every place is different. Every place is independently financed. I have friends that are doing $15 million campaigns and some that are doing $2 million campaigns. What I want to speak to, and I think this might be a question that a lot of people have, that's really expensive. And the answer is, it is. And that's what construction costs today. One of the things that I've learned throughout this is it's always more than you think it is. And one thing I can say, I'm incredibly thankful that we started building when we did, and Mark is here in the room, because I know I have friends that are beginning now. And guess what? It's more. It is more. And the longer you wait, the higher these prices are. This is the new norm. And if you have a Hebrew school, thank God, and you need 6, 7 classrooms, and you have a high holidays and you need 300 people, this is the size of the building. This is the budget that you need in order to be able to build that building. So I think that's a question that might be going through people's minds. We are here to meet the needs of the community. Thank you, Laurie. All right. I want to ask dear friend Alan Berlin to share a few words about really the importance of community. Alan, come on up.
Thank you for the lights. So for those of you who don't know me, in addition to being a dear friend who does not know how to do things in a few words, I consider myself a general community member, but also a Shabbat regular. So you can see me on Saturdays. The rabbi asked me to speak today about community. And a short definition is community is a group of people connected by shared values and shared interests. Family away from family. Now, this is especially relevant in our community because an important idea of Judaism is that every Jew is family. To be a Jew, we belong to the most remarkable family and to feel a responsibility toward its members. We practice love and kindness to everyone of all different faiths, but there's a unique responsibility that we have that pertains to family members. Now, to go along with our family away from family, we also should have a home away from home. It should be similar to our personal home in that it provides comfort and warmth. We should feel good approaching it and feel good entering it. We would want to spend time there, show it off, and be proud to invite people in. And just as importantly, we'd prefer the payment to be manageable. I've had the opportunity over the years in other organizations to learn a little about fundraising for a nonprofit community. And one idea that was always stressed is that everyone in the community believes they're an outsider. They feel that others are influencing all the decisions for their benefit and not for ours. In this case, in our case at Chabad, maybe the Sunday school families feel that way toward the Shabbat regulars, but it's probably also vice versa. We have the lunch and learn people, the people who study one-on-one with the rabbi. We have Shomer Shabbos people, and everyone feels they have their own identity. But unfortunately, believing that myth that you're an outsider prevents our members from supporting our community to their full faith. When Rabbi Kotler asked me to speak, I agreed under one condition, that I could tell you that he commits to personally meeting with members of our community to share his vision for the building and for Chabad of Cary. This was for a couple of reasons. Now, let me back up a little bit. Another fundraising principle is that people want to see that the leader is personally invested before they're willing to make a significant contribution. How can we measure that? Especially given that Rabbi Kotler has often said that fundraising is not his favorite part of the job. Well, we would know mostly by direct experience along with word of mouth. That's how communities work. Have we been asked to meet with the rabbi? Have our friends? Has the rabbi talked in general about his meeting with community members? But now we have a better answer, and that's the rabbi's commitment to you. He will reach out and schedule a meeting with you. Here's what I think you should expect in those meetings. First, as I said, he will share his vision for the building and for Chabad of Cary. Second, he'll work with you to help pinpoint what resonates most with each one of you individually. The goal is for you to better understand why the success of Chabad of Cary matters to you personally. And third, he will follow up from that meeting to discuss your financial commitment to our community. Now, this is a simplistic description of what will happen, but it's a good starting outline for discussion. One more thought. You might know others, friends, parents, grandparents, whose charitable giving lines up with what we're doing at Chabad of Cary and how our success impacts them directly and the Jewish community overall. Please bring these people together with Rabbi Kotler. The same conversations can be had. And the reality is, you might not even know to what extent these people are already supporting causes similar to Chabad of Cary, and they're looking for more opportunities that are close to their hearts. As you've heard, this building is not just a construction project. It's the home of our community, a place where Jewish life will flourish for us, our children, our grandchildren, and generations to come. Thank you for your time and thank you for your support.
Thank you, Alan. I just want to point out so many people in this room have already given incredibly generously. To Alan's point, you know somebody. There was someone in the room here that introduced me to a foundation that gave us $180,000 from one introduction. There was someone else that introduced us to another foundation, the Leon Levine Foundation, thank God, that donated $250,000 to this project. I guarantee you that out of all the people in the room, there are people that know foundations, uncles, aunts, grandparents, friends, Lenovo Epic Games, you name it. Anyone know the owner of SAS? No, anybody. But there are people out there. That is what we're doing. We have many, many people listening online as well. And I want to call Alan now to share some words. Petra, yeah. Petra's going to share. Petra, thank you. Because what we are trying to highlight tonight is this is a call to action of everyone doing their part. Petra, thank you.
Hello. little space for myself. Discovered this afternoon that my printer's not working, so I got old fashioned with the, you can't hear me? Hello? I was just saying, I discovered this afternoon that my printer is not working, so I got old fashioned with a printer. So yeah, the rabbi asked me if I would speak tonight about why myself and my husband decided to give a stretch gift to the synagogue to help to support the building of the new building. We are locals to Apex. We have 2 young children in the Hebrew school. We're transplants from elsewhere, like many others. And we're both nonprofit and public service professionals. And the truth is that when I boil it down, our decision to give the stretch gift to this campaign came from us realizing that we needed to align our level of giving to match the level of importance that this synagogue actually holds in our lives and, importantly, in the lives of our children. In any day and age, but especially in this day and age, and in this geographic location where we might be a growing, but we are still very much a small minority population in the general population of this area. It really is a necessity for our children to have a community and a physical space, a physical place where they can go, not only to learn the brass tacks of Jewish knowledge and tradition, but also where they can be in community with other Jewish children and families. It's essential that they have a community and a physical place where they can be their full Jewish selves, where the essence of who they are is celebrated, affirmed, understood without explanation, and built up and strengthened. This matters now, for example, in the form of friendships with other Jewish children that my children are making, which matters deeply to them. We are, for example, the only Jewish family with young children in our entire neighborhood. My 7-year-old was the only Jewish child in his kindergarten class and in his first grade class. And he is one of only 2 Jewish children in his entire grade. And yet, thanks to this synagogue, my son has many Jewish friends that he loves to spend time with, both at Hebrew school and outside of Hebrew school. Again, this matters now because my son loves his friends, but it also matters in the long run. Over time, having a community and a physical place where my son's Jewish identity is celebrated and nourished will shape who he is and how he relates to the world, how confident he is in himself and in his sense of belonging in the world. And it will allow him to live more fully and truly as his whole self. So, bringing it back to the question of why we decided to give a stretch gift, well, as I've already noted, we already have community and we're building the friendships already, but we do not yet have the physical place that I believe that we need. Having this place will create a home, as others have noted, where friends, community, and sense of self can continue to deepen and grow. And with this logic in mind, my husband and I realized that we have an obligation to our children to help build this physical place, this home for them. We're not wealthy, but with this clear focus in mind regarding how important it is, we're stretching. We are no longer treating our giving to the shul each year as an end-of-year discretionary line, but rather as a core budget item that we are prioritizing in the same way that we prioritize and budget for other core essentials. It truly, for our children, is of existential importance. It took us a little while to get there, but my husband and I have made this community and all the identity, meaning, and belonging that stems from it a priority for our family. I know many others in here have already done that. And for those who haven't, I do invite you to consider making it a priority for your family to donate as well. And as the rabbi noted, if there are others in your life you'd like to invite that too, it can only get us closer to that budget. And personally speaking, specifically, if you'd like to go in with us, my husband and I, on the dedication for building security, which we've committed to half of, please let me know.
Thank you so much, Petra. That was so beautiful about tzedakah being item from the beginning and not discretion at the end. We're going to finish with a call to action, followed by an incredible heroic tale and music from Label Lazaroff. You can speak, and I'll just have something at the same time.
So first thing, thank everyone here for showing up today. Give yourselves an applause. Middle of the week, summer, a lot of people are away. Thank you guys for showing up. And yes, it's me again. I've been talking to you guys about this project for, I don't know, 7, 8 years. Rabbi, I, and Rebbitzin and Phyllis first talked about this, I think 2015. So this has been a 10-year project. And for those who are concerned, and obviously everyone is and appropriately concerned about the cost of this thing, when we first did everything years ago, we thought it would be stretched to go for a $2 to $3 million project at the time. We thought that the community couldn't handle that. And unfortunately, it takes a while. So by the time we have gotten to it, this is what the budget is for this building. And we've done everything we can to minimize the cost, just because I've been the whole time. I just want to reemphasize that. I said at the groundbreaking, this is what Jewish communities do. We build community. We don't overwhelm city councils, screaming at Israel. We don't disrupt colleges. We don't close off bridges. We build our community. This is what we're doing with this project. And again, as the rabbi said before, we have been the wandering Jews of Wake County, Western Wake County, for the last 22, 23 years. First, we were in, I think, an apartment, and then we were in a home on Riddy Creek and in Grace Park. So we've been in a lot of places. This will be our final home. And every single person here has the privilege, and it's a privilege. We are founders, okay? I'm in my mid-60s. I've never been at the beginning of a project like this. Every building I've ever gone to, every synagogue has been built already. There's a bunch of plaques on the walls. Some of the people are still alive, some are not. You never think about it, but we're the ones who are actually doing it, and that's great. And we're doing this with our wonderful rabbi and Rebbitzin and their family. And I actually thought today, it's funny that Shana and the rabbi's youngest daughter, Peril, will never know that we were in storefronts. All they will know is the beautiful building. So that is actually kind of cool. So a lot of money has been raised. I mean, $5 million I would have thought was impossible a few years ago. We've raised $5 million. We've had some very generous big donors. We've had a lot of smaller donors. They're all appreciated. And we have to, but it is time for everyone in the community to step up and now push us across the finish line. And I think Lori showed us what the finish line needs to be, at least in the next 6 months. Now, everyone in this room, and also there are a lot of people in our community who come regularly who are not in this room. And unfortunately, it's tough for Hebrew school parents, with young kids to get here. But everyone needs to step up. And here is what I'm going to ask people to commit. Even if you have given before, myself included, I want everyone here to consider strongly taking on an additional commitment and doing it tonight. So how are we going to do this? What we'd like to do, if you see there is a QR code on these programs that you have tonight. I don't know much about QR codes. You could ask the rabbi, you could ask Roman. I'm a physician, not a tech person. But what we're asking people to do is to make a commitment to either give or raise the money over the next 6 months. And we're going to ask people to go big. See if we can, everyone in this room can raise $18,000 in 6 months. Now, it sounds crazy. How do we do this? Some of you may just be able to write a check. Great, we'll take it. Others, there are ways to do this because people are used to GoFundMe. They're used to writing checks and doing all these things for, the MS Foundation. And I'm constantly getting asked about Friends Go runs and things like that. So I think we can ask every single member of our family. I think we can ask friends and community members and other Jews, can you donate? And that money can add up. So I think it shouldn't be so overwhelming to people. because people are used to this kind of thing. They're used to being asked, and they may not write big checks, but maybe they will. You know, and then the question is, well, where do we get the money? So one of the things that every year that I have a birthday, and my wife asked me and my kids asked me, Dad, what do you want? And my answer is, I don't know. I mean, there's really nothing I need because it's a material thing and I don't need anything materially, thank God, at this point in my life. So I think we have to think of this kind of in that way. This is not a material thing. It's not a TV that'll last 5 years or a car or clothing or even a trip. This building is something that is going to outlast every single person in this room. We'll all be gone, including the young children. And this building and the legacy and people in it will still be here in the next hundreds of years. So again, there are no dues at Chabad. We don't do these things where you're trying to raise money for this and that. This is our commitment. And we're asking people really to do the QR code, you become an ambassador. And then you make a target of how much you're going to raise, and you work hard over the next 6 months to do it, commit, and I think we can do it. So I'd like everyone to make that commitment tonight. And and for people who are not here that in our community, spread the word. It can't just be the rabbi spreading the word. I think Alan Berlian had a great idea, but the rabbi, his time is he can't meet always every time with one-on-one people. Do it sometimes, but we have to do that. Others in the community have to ask others to give. I can tell you one thing. I have spent a lot of time in the last couple of months. Phyllis and I live in Raleigh, trying to get some big donors from Raleigh to come. We've had some success, but we've had also some failures where people say, "Hey, I don't want to come here. I get money in Raleigh." Okay, tried. It's worth it. But that's what we all have to do to really try to get the money. And I don't know, maybe God willing, someone will drop $1 million in the next couple of months. We've been praying for that for years. I think it's really going to come out of the hard work. That's where it should become because we will appreciate it that much. So thank you guys for listening tonight.
Thank you, Alan, tirelessly for years. Again, the commitment tonight is not you're going to give that. It's I'm going to try to raise that. So when you hit, I'm going to do 10,000, imagine. 100 people committed to 10,000. That's $1 million. That's $1 million right there. So we can have our ambassadors begin at 5,400. 5,400 would be ambassador. 10,000 would be an ambassador. 18,000 would be an ambassador. But that will, look at this. 5,400 is 150 a month over 3 years. That is what 5,400 would look like. So when the evening, and please, it looks like everyone is staying for the incredible concert coming up, but I just want to share the screen what it's going to look like. This is what the QR code is going to take you to. And you'll see in big letters, sign up as an ambassador. You click that. Oh, it's not sharing the screen. Not good. Second, sorry. Can everyone see the screen now? Still not. Okay. We don't need the screen. You hit the QR. Yes. Any donation of $5,400 and more, that would be spread over 3 years, and that is okay. That is okay. 54 over 3 years, 1,800. Obviously, is it easier? Is it better to have it right away? Of course. But knowing that we have that lined up for 3 years would also be. Any other questions? Yes. Absolutely. Securities, transfers, donor advice funds, all of that as well. But again, if everyone here could think of people in their network, we have 100 people here, a little more online. Imagine the additional people that we can reach out to. We can absolutely make this happen. Now, friends, I want to tell you a story about a Jewish center. See if I'm still. This story happened exactly 40 years ago. 40 years ago, there was a family that decided that a Jewish center was built. They wanted to move closer to that center. And so they picked up And amongst that family, there was a 4-year-old boy. And I think that decision to move closer was the single most deciding factor in that child's education. They moved from their homes to be closer to that building that a small handful of families built. Today, there are hundreds and hundreds of families that call that center their home. I was the Jewish boy at age 4 who moved. My parents are in the room right now who thank God made that decision exactly 40 years ago to this date. And our musician's grandparents were the ones who built that building that because of that, I'm here today. With that in mind, we have a round of applause from above. With that in mind, please everyone give your utmost attention to a true Jewish hero, someone who turned a tale of darkness into light, Leib Lasra.
An honor to be here. Some of you may have heard of my name or of my story a little bit, but I wanna take you guys this evening on a journey of life, because every single person comes into this world, and we'll start off with a song which speaks about that. This song is called Neshama. The lyrics will be up on the screen. And the idea of this song, it's a powerful reminder that every single person is sent into this world with a unique purpose. And sometimes life may be difficult and challenges may be set in your way. But we're here to make a difference in every single mitzvah, act of goodness and kindness. And anything that we do helps us bring us closer to that mission, which each person individually doing what they can to make a difference in this world. Discuss a lot over the evening. Directly impact the ultimate goal of Shia. Peace and harmony together.
How do you hit the button that they can go? Connected already, but it's not again. No. Connected now? That is me then. Yeah. Feel free to get a drink. Don't go anywhere.
We need to click it.
Okay.
Okay, so just get started on this.
Yeah, start.
This is your access?
Request access.
Sorry.
For those online, hang on 1 minute. Then start and.
Schools on cake. Just see.
Okay, you start. You start. I'll try. Start right away. I got it.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. This song is a very soulful song. It's in English, so it's easy to follow along. And, please join me. Away. Can't you see I'm so free? With me, little shoulder, it's tiny things, your destiny. As we fly beneath the clouds, now I will show you. There is so much you can do. Yes, dear mother, I can see the holiness over there. Look, someone's learning to. There's another day. You must promise me, dear friend, that I too will. What's a task that I must do? As I type and wonder if you will forget me. You're on your own. Evening, everyone. So that's talking about how the soul comes down to this world. It's a scary thing coming down to such a large world with so much hate and darkness. But to start off, I grew up in a small college town in College Station, Texas. It's about 100 miles away from anything and everything. Where the closest kosher restaurant, kosher stores, keep it somewhere in the yarmulke, is 2-hour drive away. And I grew up My parents run the Chabad of Texas A&M, and since I was a little kid, you know, I grew up with a bunch of 18, 19, 20-year-olds. And I'm family on our own. We have two older siblings and triplets under me, family of 9. But right from a young age, growing up in the middle of nowhere, you right away are kind of infused with this sense of identity and purpose in what you're doing, because you know, I was wearing a yarmulke, and I was the only kid in town and doing that. You know, whether I was from when I was 10 years old, starting to put tefillin on people, or I remember there was a middle-aged man that wanted to learn how to read Hebrew. I was like 9 or 10, and so we cut a deal. He knew how to do. He had a woodworking garage in his house. We cut a deal that I would come every week, every Sunday, and I'd teach him how to read Hebrew, and he would teach me how to do some woodworking, construction, something I've always been into. And that's how I went for 6 months. And at the end of that, he was reading fluently, and I was like, I'm only 10. It doesn't make sense. It's so weird. And you know, then you will ask, so like, where'd you go to school? How did that go? Interestingly enough, my kindergarten and first grade, I was going to Houston. My parents would drive me there. I would stay at my grandparents. I grew up in Houston, that community. And I would stay at my grandparents and come home on Shabbat. And then once I hit second grade, we just shifted to the online school, kind of like the kids had over COVID, just officially more functional. And that's how it went till I was in 8th grade when I left home. Just the Sunday after my bar mitzvah party, the day after my bar mitzvah party, went off to Chicago, where I would then go on to yeshiva for 2 years. And a lot of people ask me, like, did you feel different? Did you feel different going up in the middle of nowhere in such an interesting scenario where I'm basically partying with a bunch of 18, 19, 20-year-olds for my entire life? And, you know, out of the Jewish community, no Jewish friends really that were my age as a kid. And honestly, I never really felt that way, because my parents made an amazing, tremendous effort to always make us feel like we belong. Always make us feel like, you know, we like sports. So we would hire PE, we used to play sports with the students, we have trainers and things. And then I enjoyed music, so I hired a piano teacher. And that's how things went. But through all that, and you know, cooking and learning all the essentials that every, you know, about shliach, skate, kids are very, very talented. But so, and I remember once there was I was in a ice skating rink wearing a yarmulke and tzitzis with my brother, and someone asked me, like, what are you wearing? I'm like, oh, it's the yarmulke and tzitzis. It represents, you know, reminds us who we are, we have God, and we represent Jewish people. Therefore, we have to wear it with pride and be proud of who we are. I never really realized, you know, at that age, saying something like that, how much I would be so proud of them just a couple years later. Fast forward a few years, I'm spending my year in New York, I'm doing my rabbinical certificate ordination, I'm learning to become a rabbi. And over this year, you know, as the year goes on, people in my grade, we all start discussing our next year's plan. The next year's plan, which is to go out in a year of shulchan, we go out for a year community, to help either to community or to yeshiva, school, to help infuse the younger generation, or to infuse the community with everything that we can help with, people being proud of who we are, and you know, programming and everything like that. And a friend of mine told me, hey, my brother-in-law, they just built a brand new $15 million building in Bondi Beach, Australia. It's gorgeous there. Why don't you go there? You'll have a good time. I was like, you know, I don't know. Australia sounds kind of fun, but it also sounds kind of far. I'll send them my number and I'll think about it. And either way, Rabbi Eli Schwenger reaches out to me, and he was the rabbi, he's the Chabad rabbi at Shul there. And he tells me, hey, I'm like, listen, you know, I'm working on it, but you know, I want to go, but it's hard to build a group. I'm not sure. Things are kind of delayed, things are going not great. And I remember like mid-July, late July, he's like, why don't you come yourself? I'm like, rabbi, are you crazy? I'm like, oh, myself. It wasn't even me. I'm flying to the other side of the world. Either way, he starts, you know, like a good rabbi does, he pressures me well, like a Jewish guilt, always works. And then he asked me, don't come for the year stuff. Are you happy to commit until December? And I said, I'll think about it, I'll get back to him. I'm like, no, I spoke it over with a few people. I'm like, listen, it's just a year. I'm going with no commitment. I can leave one of our long working tours. I went to Australia, didn't work out, traveled the world, and I back home. So like that, he got me, and I was on a flight to Sydney, Australia. And right when I got there, things, it was very uncomfortable in the beginning, but things right away took off. And I was right away thrown into an interesting position where the two rabbis that worked there, Rabbi Eli Schlinger and the woman who does that for young professionals, the young adults, both of their wives were 9 months pregnant and had a baby in their first month. So just imagine what that was like. And so I right away got thrown into a leadership role of running young adult programming at C-Team and visiting elders in the community, giving them hot soup, and just checking them up and checking in on the community and programming just nonstop. And things were really, super active and super busy. Fast forward to, a few weeks before Hanukkah, the next thing on the agenda, Rabbi Ali tells me this is the biggest event of the year, Hanukkah by the Sea. We expect usually over 1,000 people. And since, just a baby, whatever, you're gonna be running into city. Like, okay. So just like that, got right away thrown into the swing of planning and seeing what worked, what didn't work in past years. And I know one of the big challenges we had was every year we get with bounce houses for the kids. And this year, the council was like, no way, we can't let it, it's too windy, there was an accident apparently somewhere else in Australia, and so therefore it's now illegal. Whereas there's somewhat of a breeze to have bounce houses, etc. And I was fighting with them for the last, like literally till the last day, we really need this, we need this for kids, I'm gonna tell them around, we need some. And either way, the day before, they're like, it's not happening. I'm like, okay, so I tell her out, I'm like, listen, we need something to look. They said, no, it's fine, we're guys, so we need something else. And I said, well, I start searching, everything's booked in the whole city because it's like the day before the event. And there's a lot of other events, and obviously people have birthday parties and whatever else, and there was nothing available. The only thing I found was a rock climbing wall. I was like, it's expensive also, they double the price of all the other rental companies, but I'll grab it when you get it. No, it's expensive. I'm like, I booked it, it's coming, we're getting it, we're gonna get it. So like that, we got a rock climbing wall, you'll see why later that was something that, was real much tougher about this, was real divine providence that we ended up with that rock climbing wall. Either way, fast forward, the night before the event, I went down to the beach for the first time, and I went with a friend, we made a little kind, and the next day, the event, everything was set, everything was ready, and the event should be a success. I spent weeks on planning and dealing with all the behind the scenes logistics. That morning, December 14th, I got there kind of around 11 a.m., started setting up the event, with the stage and the tents and the different attractions. And 5 o'clock, the event started, and right away it was flooded with people. And I was running around just, all the last minute stuff and making sure things were running smoothly, and everyone was having a great time. And I could see on at least Rabbi Eli's face a certain enjoyment because, basically I like at 6:42. I went over to Rabbi Eli and said, hey, we're gonna get started for the program soon. We're at 7 o'clock. We're just letting you know we're starting soon, everything going good. Yes, it's the best year ever. He was having an absolutely awesome time. And I found out later the reason was because this year he wasn't running around schwitzing and sweating. I was, and he got to do his favorite thing ever, which was to be with the community, be with his family. And his favorite thing was to wrap filler on obligations. Either way, I said, okay, great. I will I'm just gonna head to the car to grab something real quick, and then we'll get started.
Should I do?
There's an announcement. Really don't want you guys to miss out on this visual. It really helps explain the story. See, this is the flyer for the event, meeting about the event, and this is at the event. Rabbi Eli putting tefillin on someone, and then at 6:42, right after we had that conversation, we took a photo. And then I went to the car to go get something, and as I got to the car, I heard pop, sounded like a gunshot, and growing up in Texas, shooting guns all the time. I knew exactly what it was. I knew it was a gunshot. And I look around and I see everyone looking around, the confusion, not understanding what that was. They thought it was fireworks, balloons or something, and it just keeps them going off. And I right away get down. And then all of a sudden people start running. People realize exactly what was happening. And as this is all happening, I get down and I'm right away thinking, I'm like, there's gunshots going off, people are screaming, people are falling, and I'm thinking, I'm like, what? Like, I start looking around and I'm like, what can I do right now to help protect and defend? I felt I felt like I couldn't do anything. Start looking around for a weapon or something I could use. And around 30 seconds to a minute in, you can see on the thing, you see those blue footsteps with the police. So I was by the car right over there. And 30 seconds in, a police officer started retreating towards me, towards the back, right by, and he landed right by that car, screaming, I've been shot, I've been shot. I asked him, where have you been shot? He points to his right shoulder over here. I right away take off my shirt, I tie it over the wound. I say, stay with me, you got this. And then I say, give me your gun. And he's like, what do you mean? He didn't really respond. He was just like, no. He like shook his head, no. He's kind of losing consciousness. And I'm like, I'm from Texas, I'm trained, I'm licensed, give me your gun. There's no cops, there's no one here shooting, what's going on? And at this point, Rabbi Eli starts screaming, which you can see he was kind of behind that screen over there, behind that truck, right next to the stage. He starts screaming, he's like, where are the cops? Why isn't anyone shooting? Like, what's going on? One of the terrorists actually began coming towards us. You can see right here. One of the terrorists was coming towards us, and he was like walking towards our area, closer and closer, and there's no one defending. And I look at the officer again. I'm like, give me your gun. I'm like, I see two choices here. Either we're all gonna die, or maybe I could protect, or maybe I could save some lives and try to take this guy out. Please give me your gun. He shook his head no, and with his last little bit of strength, he kind of covered it with his hands as I reached for it to try to grab it from him. And in those moments where there's so much going through your head, just trying to figure out what I can do. And then as I'm like right after I reach for it, I'm like, you know what? It's up to God. He runs the world. There's nothing we can do. And I did my part. I tried. And as this was going through my head, all of a sudden I feel a zap and a jolt in my body. I fall to the ground. I've been shot. I'm laying there on the floor, my face to the ground in the mud, and right away I'm like, okay, this is what it feels like to be dying. This is great. And I right away start singing the Shema prayer, which, as we know, is a prayer we say before the end of our life. And I'm just saying it over and over and over again. The gunshots are still going off, and as this is happening, I'm feeling a buzz in my pocket. I pull out my phone while I'm laying there on the floor, and I see it's Rabbi Ullman. Rabbi Ullman is the head rabbi. He's a senior rabbi, and he's a really highly respected rav around the world, where he deals specifically with Jewish status and conversions and marriages and all the super complicating things. And he's very well respected. He calls me. He was on his way to come for the program. And he calls me, he's like, what's going on? And he heard what was going on. He said, are you okay? Is everything okay? I'm trying to reach Ellie. I'm trying to reach Mendy. And I look over to my left and I see Rabbi Eli, who had then come out of hiding, and he was standing right behind me. I see him screaming, stop shooting. What's going on? Where are the cops? I see him get shot and fall to the floor fatally. He was out. And I remember telling Rabbi Ullman, I'm like, Ellie's out. I didn't want to say that he was dead, but he was out. And I'm sitting here, laying here, and I got shot, and I'm bleeding, I'm dying. I need a medic. And in the meantime, the gunshots are still going off. It went off for about I got shot 5 minutes in, and went on for another like 8 minutes to 10 minutes before they got the.
First one is love God, and then your neighbor. That's what it's all about.
I know, and it ain't
I'm
happening.
sitting there, and I've been shot. I hang up the phone, put it down, laying on the floor, and as gunshots are going off, all of a sudden I hear
I
a
was
voice.
thinking
I'm
you-
not sure,
I don't know what I'm gonna do. I got to sleep,
if it was
but I may wind up at the 8 o'clock meeting.
was a
Just-
voice for someone
I
telling
don't
me
know
behind. I have no idea if someone turned.
8 o'clock meeting was.
Again and again.
March Friday, isn't it?
Family, I'm just like, I wish
Yeah.
this is
I
not.
might wind
I
up
was
there.
planning on having a
I
full
don't like
life,
to say I will.
getting married, getting a job, having
Wonder
kids,
what
building a
classes are he
community,
just
and then
talking
here I am,
about?
on the way out. It's a young way to go, but I guess,
Let me see what that weather thing's saying.
It looked like a.
you hear someone telling me, don't say Shema, your conscience, say Tehillim. And Tehillim, for those who don't know, is Psalms. It's something that we say when we're going through a difficult time, when things are going wrong, and it's kind of like we're praying to God to help us and to save us. And right away in that moment, my mind shifted from I'm dying to wait, I can survive. And that was the most pivotal shift in the entire ordeal. I sat myself up, I started pressing down on my own wound that was bleeding out in my stomach. And I'm just holding it in and holding it in. I start saying to him, and one of those chapters I said was the Shir Hamalas, which is a prayer that we say, which talks about the idea that, you know, a guardian of Israel doesn't sleep nor slumber, and I'm trying to figure out the best, I'll just do that. And that, you know, he's here for us forever, and no matter what, even if we feel like we're alone, he's here and will protect us, and we'll do whatever we can. And this next song is that thing. And as I'm sitting there, you know, going through so much in my mind, in those 7 minutes that followed until the shooting ended, I sat there myself. And as you see here, once the shooting ended and help arrived, since I was sitting there so conscious, because I convinced myself I was going to be alive and I was trying to save myself. No matter how much I was trying to scream for help, when the medics came rushing into the field to triage everyone quickly, they kept on skipping over me again and again. And I knew I was in critical condition. I knew it was really bad. And it didn't look bad because it was mainly internal bleeding. But I got hit in the abdomen with a shotgun, which, for those of you who know, there's a bunch of pellets that fly out of the bullet and create damage everywhere. And I was like, the fact that I'm still breathing is ridiculous. I'm running out of time. I'm screaming for help. And you can see I'm sitting there myself. And, you know, after sitting there for a good amount of time, probably like 10 minutes almost, finally someone stops and realizes the situation. 3 people came over. One woman, she takes charge. And she right away realizes how critical it is. She sends someone to get water, someone to get food wrap, whatever. They start cleaning up the wound. They grab people's shirts. They stuff the 2 holes on either side. And then they use like saran wrap, cling wrap to like wrap it around to try to create some sort of tourniquet, I guess. And I'm sitting there waiting for the stretcher to come, which is also not coming because there's just, I mean, chaos everywhere. You look around and there's, you know, it's just, yeah, everywhere. And, you know, I'm looking to my left and I'm seeing Rabbi Eli just 5 feet to my left laying there. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, why him? You know, why not me? He's got like a family, he just had a baby. He was a 5-week-old baby, 5 kids, community that needs him. You know, I'm a single guy. My family might be in a rough position, but like, you know, it won't shatter too many. Like that's what I was thinking. I'm like, why? Like, why? And then that's when I was like, you know, there's like, they kept on coming back to this point. There's nothing I can do. You know, I'm not in control of this world. I wish I was sometimes, but I'm not. And finally, as they're about to get me on the stretcher, they say they're like looking around trying to see if there's anything else. I'm like, no, I think I'm good. I look down at my leg and I see a hole in my pants. So I take it off and they see a dry bullet hole wound in my leg. Apparently I got shot in the leg as well. No exit wound. They wrap it up. They bring me on the stretcher. They walk me through the field. And they bring me to the triage area, which is through the whole field. And I'm sitting there waiting. These volunteers who had helped me bring me to the medics. They put me on the rolling stretcher. And the medics put on their gloves. Hi, Mr. Lazarov, we're going to be taking care of you today. I said, be quiet, get me to an ambulance. I'm dying, I'm running out of time. Like, you got to get me out of here. Like, no, you seem like you're in okay condition. And the woman explained that it's internal abdomen. It's looking pretty bad and they got to get me out fast. So they start rolling me to the van, the ambulance van. And they try to get me. And this one's sorry, there's too many things. You got to wait like 20 minutes. And I'm like, then they're like, yeah, we're gonna. I'm like, oh, I don't have 20 minutes. I'm running out of time. Either way, with me advocating for myself significantly, they decide to make a split-second decision. They're gonna walk me 4 minutes up the road to where their ambulance is while I'm on the rolling stretcher, and then they'll be able to get me out. So they start walking me down, and as we're going, I'm looking around, I see neighbors came out and I see, people standing there crying, I see people running to help, and then I see something that really struck a chord in me. I see a guy, short little scrawny guy, standing there with a huge news camera, just filming. And in that moment, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, there's like a bunch of dead people there, and like other people that are severely injured. And there are people running to help, and there's chaos. And you're standing there filming so you could get a good news clip. Like, it really bothered me. But that's not what I voiced. Instead, what I did was, as I was rolling by, I looked at him and I put up a peace sign as a way of saying, we're here. You're not going to break us no matter what you try to do. I'm here. And, that's my way of like standing, That's that. It was a very powerful moment. Either way, they finally get me to the hospital, and they bring me straight in. They put me down on the bed. They start taking everything up, preparing for surgery. And then, as they're about to put me to sleep, a anesthesiologist came over to me and said, the last words I heard is they're about to put anesthesia into me, and she said, "We're gonna take care of you." And I remember my last thing thinking in my head, like, you guys haven't cut me up yet. You don't know how bad it is, but like, I guess either I'll wake up from this or I won't. And like that, I was out. I woke up Tuesday morning to find out that over this time, over the last 2 days, that there was severe damage to my abdomen. The 3 left core muscles on my left side had been completely obliterated. The abdominal wall underneath it was gone. And there was a laceration to my spleen, my liver, my colon, my bowels got shattered. And the one in my leg landed this close, millimeters away from the femur artery, where it got stuck in the leg, in a muscle. And that basically I was completely open. I didn't look. This is what I was told. And that this is going to be a long journey. And around an hour after I woke up, my parents walked into the room, got a phone in from Texas. And they came in, and I was emotional. The first thing I said was, didn't give me the gun. I wish I could have saved people. I knew Rabbi Eli was dead. I didn't know about everyone else until a few weeks later. I didn't know that there were 15 people killed and 40 injured, including the building manager / rabbi as well, Rabbi Yaakov Levitin. And I remember just saying, like, I wish I could have done more. Like, I just didn't get, I wanted to get that gun. It was really emotional. But either way, over the next couple of weeks, there were a lot of ups and downs. Recovery was not linear in the slightest. And there was, between all the news coming in for interviews and the FBI and the cops coming in for investigations, and so many people that came to visit me, including United Hatzalah, as well as the head of Chabad International, came to visit me. Between all of that, there were many, many surgeries. This is me on the way to one of my surgeries. I think it was number 5. And I just come to learn how bad it was. But at the same time, from when I woke up, I had this resolve, like, we're gonna be fine. I remember once the doctors were like, listen, this is a big challenge, we're gonna get you walking out of here, but we're not sure how. We're not sure how we're gonna be able to figure it out. And you're never gonna be able to lift over 10 pounds again. And you're gonna have many medical complications in the future. And I remember saying, okay, so I'll own the company and I'll hire the people to do the schlepping and I'll figure it out. Like that was my mindset the whole time. Like, I'm gonna be fine, we're gonna push. And I find out later that was what encouraged the doctor so much to try to come to the best outcome, which, thank God, I'm on the way to not a complete recovery, but I won't be limited to 10 pounds. And there's so many different experiences, so many different things that I really got to learn over this time. Number one thing was gratitude. I remember when I woke up, the first thing I was able to have was like every half hour, like one ice chip. And guys, ice chips are incredible. I'm telling you, they're fantastic. And then like a weekend, I was able to have water. I'm like, hello, like everyone's sleeping. I'm like, wait, we're like, did we not know water was so good? Really to be able to appreciate the simple things. And my Modani, which we say every morning, thanking God for giving us another day, took on a whole new meaning. And another thing was this element of a positive mindset. I remember once we had a Kumsitz, where like 30 people came in and they brought my keyboard, which was at the event. I was supposed to play at the event, and they brought it in, and we were singing for like a good hour. And at the end of it, the machine, there was like a vacuum. Basically, I was open from the top all the way down to my groin. And there was a vacuum kind of sealing everything up. And every third day, I was taken into another surgery to try to clean it out and try to pull things a little closer. But in between that, I was left open, but they had to keep it sealed and keep it draining out. And I remember the machine started beeping as everyone left. I right away started getting nervous. And the nurse walked in. I'm like, okay, fine. She walks in. She couldn't figure out what was going on. And all of a sudden, the whole time everything was great. I was with a positive mindset. And like, things are gonna be good. And all of a sudden, my ears started ringing. I broke out in a cold sweat. I lost energy. My heart rate started slowing down. It was getting blurry. I couldn't see. I felt like I was about to pass out for a few minutes. And then it turns out they just needed to unplug the machine and plug it back in, and there was nothing wrong. And that taught me a very invaluable lesson about how, the mindset can actually have a physical impact. And so, through all of this, where they're trying to repair figure everything out, and infections and, things going wrong in the surgeries. And there were a few really beautiful moments. Number one was the way the Jewish community got together after such a tragedy, hearing about the thousands of people from around the world doing things for me. And, between that and, the Israeli ambassador coming to visit, putting on tefillin for the first time in many, many years, and Rabbi Ullman, who in his own grief, his community, many members were killed, as well as his son-in-law, Rabbi Eli Schlenger, he took the time to come visit me, and the hundreds of people that came to visit throughout this time. And, it was really amazing. I remember the nurse walked and said, like, there's something about you people. She didn't say that in a bad way. There's something about you guys. This kid has been in Sydney for 3 months. And there's been 24/7 visitors, hundreds of visitors from all walks of life coming to visit him. There's people that come to this hospital for weeks without a visitor, and he's not been left alone for even a second. What's the secret? And another thing that really stuck out to me was this anesthesiologist who had told me in the beginning how she's going to take care of me. It turns out she was Jewish. And she told my mother after she visited me, it came like 2 weeks in, what, he's alive? And then when she came to visit, she told my mother, like, that day was so hard for me. I'm Jewish. I grew up in Bondi, I grew up in this community, but I had to put that all aside and be professional. And to see how your son's coming out from this in such a positive light is really amazing. And another thing I remember is later on in the hospital journey, there was a nurse that, one of the doctors came in and he's like, all right, listen, he said, I see that there's many, many people coming to visit you, and people are walking in shatter and they're walking out strengthened. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm just like trying to survive here. Either way, he said, there's a nurse who was there that day who's really broken and really having a difficult time. She's from Bondi. She's gone through all of it, and she's really having a difficult time. Can she come and speak to you? I'm like, sure. And she walked in with tears in her eyes, and I told her, I said, she's like, it's in the community, it's not fair, why this happens to the Jews, whatever. I'm like, listen, you don't have to be hard on yourself. First of all, you can make a difference, you can help. She felt broken, she felt like there's nothing more she can do. I said, I was like, there's so many people, there's people who are asking me, like, going through such such a tragedy, like I'm trying to get back to normal. And I'm like, that's not gonna happen. You're not getting back to normal. You can't get back to before. What you can only do is you could go to what happened, try to take the positive lessons you can learn from it and bring it with you into the future. And bring it with you and use it in a positive way because we know so many times how so much darkness can be diminished by just a little bit of light. You walk into a dark room, and you light a candle, and the whole room lights up. Right? And I'm like, and one of the ways you could do that, she wasn't Jewish. She's just like, I'm like, not by being a bystander, by being an upstander, by being an upstander for the Jewish community. And you can make a difference in your own just by if you have a friend or a colleague that maybe has some anti-Semitism or whatever, like having that conversation and being there for people, but you can make a difference. You don't have to feel helpless. You got this. And and then she walked out with a smile and she felt like she can make a difference and she can have an impact. And that was something that really stuck out to me because sometimes we feel like we can't make a difference. There's nothing we could really do. And all I was doing was saying what was on my heart, which apparently was affecting thousands around the world who were praying for me and everyone else. And so after this, we'll come to my last surgery. This is the morning before my last surgery, the 11th surgery. And this surgery was going to be a reconstructive surgery, the last one, where they're going to take a massive muscle from my leg, flip it into my core to help support and I remember that they said it was scheduled for January 5th. And the doctor came in the day before and like, listen, the drains are not clean, things look infected, things don't look clean. And the surgery the day before, it didn't look good. Like, we're probably not gonna be able to go through it. And the morning of the surgery, they roll me downstairs. They're just gonna do a regular clean out surgery. If they were able to do the whole thing, they would, but they were pretty skeptical about it. That morning I woke up. I remember telling myself that last night, I'm like, I'm getting surgery fatigue. I've had 10 in the last 2.5 weeks. I'm done. Like, this better be the last one. And it's kind of. And they bring me downstairs, and the doctor, who was not a very positive person, he was very pessimistic about this, which is fine. He walked in with a smile. I'm like, are you okay? He's like, I think things are looking really clean this morning. I think we're gonna go through the whole surgery. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? The last 3-4 days, you've been telling me there's no way. It's gonna be a couple months. Either way, they go through with the surgery, and they called my parents 3 hours in. They said things look good. We're gonna go through with it. The later you hear from us, the better. 12 hours later, my parents get a phone call. The surgery had been completed and was successful. And I was back in the induced coma in the ICU. And I remember when I woke up, I asked, so everything worked? We're good? Yeah. Okay. How long do I need to get out? And they're like, in the wildest dreams, it's going to be like 3 weeks. And at that point, there were already talks about this memorial that they were going to be doing in the Sydney Opera House on January 22nd. And I remember I wanted to be there. I was like, I want to be there. So I'm like, what's the chances of getting out in like 2 weeks, a little less, like a week and a half? And they're like, that's not gonna happen. I'm like, listen. So infection I can't control, right? So like the first 5 days I had to lay perfectly flat because they didn't want the new blood vessel that they ran through my hip to get kinked. So I had to lay perfectly flat. And then after 5 days, I slowly started bending a little bit and bending, but I was completely immobile. I'm like, listen, I can't control infection. God can control that. But I'm assuming there's certain levels of mobility and things that I need to be able to get to in order to get out. They're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, so give me that list. So they gave me the checklist. It was like be off of machines and be at a certain level of mobility. I said, okay, great. Prepare for discharge. I'll be ready. And they're like, okay. And so the doctor walked in after like a week from the surgery, and he says, okay, today you're gonna be able to stand, take your first step. You stood yesterday, you go to step. I'm like, oh, yesterday when I stood, I also took a few steps. Like, okay, so basically over the next 5 days, when I told myself I was getting out, that was the fastest time of recovery where everything was going so smoothly. The dreams they said would take 2.5 to 3 weeks to come out, they came out in 4 days. From when I decided I'm getting out, like everything was going, they're walking every morning, they're like, did you walk down the hallway yet? I'm like, I walked around the whole corridor twice yesterday, so we're getting there. And like everything was just going to, like, you're checking off all the boxes, like, either way, that Thursday, January 22nd at 2:30 PM, I walked out of the hospital, just like they had promised me. And I got home, got into a suit, and went straight to the Opera House for the memorial, 4 hours after I got out. And when I got there, the plan was for me to play a song and sing in the Opera House stage in front of thousands and hundreds of thousands watching. It's National Memorial Day. And they wanted me to play this song. Rabbi Ullman requested a song called Habit. And it's a memorial song. It's not the typical one. It's not the one that everyone necessarily knows. But to give a little backstory into why this song was so personal and why we chose it, was a month before this happened, Rabbi Eli Schlinger had decided he wasn't able to go in for the rabbis convention in Brooklyn that happens every year around November. And he couldn't go in because his wife just had a baby a few weeks before, and I think his wife said no or something. And so he decided it's around the time of the date of passing of two shluchim in Mumbai and Dubai who were both killed years apart, one in 2008 or 9 or something, and one in 2024. They were both killed in terrorist attacks. And when he was doing a memorial service, he invited an ambassador from India to Australia to come. It was a whole beautiful event. And he asked me to play this song, and he asked me to play. And I'm like, listen, like, Achenu is a beautiful song, but it's been used a lot. Let's try to do something else. So I picked this song, Havik, and the song talks about how, Habib Mishamayim Marie, God look from heaven and see. It's talking about how we're left out like a bunch of sheep to be slaughtered, and they're out to kill us, and we're made fun of, and like, who are we? And we're like, where are you? And the chorus of the song goes, nevertheless, through all of this, we have not forgotten you, so don't forget us. And it's this idea that no matter what, over thousands of years and generations upon generations, they've tried to hunt us down, they've tried to take us down, and they've been unsuccessful. And sometimes it may feel like we're lost and there's no one and there's nothing. But, we're here and we're going to be okay, and we know you got our back. And so then, 2 months later, playing it at a memorial for the Chabad rabbi that I was working for, and my own community that I was by for the year, this same song was really, really a powerful moment. And here it goes. I'm gonna put the English and then the Hebrew. Through all the things that I learned, as I share with you over this evening, I've come to learn of the thousands and thousands of people from around the world doing mitzvahs for me. And, really taught me something special about who we are as a community, as I said before, but I want to go on it a little bit more. Sometimes it feels like, what am I going to make a difference if I show up, if I'm there, if I'm involved, if I take action? And what does it make a difference if we're like a strong community or we're kind of everyone's doing their own thing? And I found something amazing that happens after tragedy. Jews are very good after tragedy of coming together and uniting and becoming a force of light, and light over darkness, good over evil. And in those times of darkness, when I saw the worst in humanity, I also saw the best in humanity, the way we showed up for each other. And, people asking me like, wow, this is so beautiful. I said, yes, it's beautiful, but what's the plan? Why? We don't need to only respond after tragedy. We need to figure out how to make this something that we do on a regular day-to-day basis. This doesn't have to be something that comes from darkness. Imagine this, you have a big amount of darkness. So right, everyone unites and creates a big light. And then another darkness happens, so it gets bigger, so then we bring the light even bigger. But imagine if the darkness stayed the same, we just kept on spreading light and kept on being together and unified as a community, showing up for each other and being there for each other and helping the next generation be proud of who we are. And that leads on to my next point, as Rabbi Eli used to always say, and this is something which I'm working on starting a massive campaign for, is he used to always say this, he said, be more Jewish. And what's the idea of being more Jewish? What does that mean? It means being proud of who we are. Yes, there's a lot of anti-Semitism nowadays, and it's scary. But it's important to fight anti-Semitism. But the most important thing is pro-Semitism, of giving the next generation that feeling that we have to be proud of who we are, because that's how we've existed for so long. And, you know, we'll be okay. We've been here for thousands of years, and we're going to be here forever. And no matter what they try to do to take us down, they're not going to be able to. But it's really, really important to not cower in the face of darkness and to be proud of who we are. Wear your Magen David over your shirt. Wear that yarmulke. You don't need to put on that baseball cap. Oh, it's okay. You can be proud of who we are. And that's what I think is so important, is taking action. Is we each have a responsibility to change our surroundings. The person next to you, whether that's a colleague or a friend or someone we don't have a great relationship with, or like whatever that is. But through being proud and through being connected and through being together, which I think we were speaking about, which all the people here were speaking about so beautifully tonight, is that how it needs to be something that's ours, individually ours. It says that talking about building the Mishkan, the Holy Temple says Vasuli Mishkan, Mikdash V'Shachanti B'Seicham. B'Seicham is plural, and it will dwell amongst them. Who's them? And every single one of you. And it's every single person's responsibility to feel a responsibility to the community, to be able to show up for each other. And by strengthening each other and being proud of who we are is the best way that we can strive forward through all the darkness and through all the hate to keep on making a difference and moving forward as a community, in this beautiful community in Cary, as well as the community around the world. Thank you very much. And I'm open to questions if anyone. We pass the mic.
Good questions.
Yeah.
And then Am Yisrael, I just finished with Am Yisrael. I have a question. Question.
If anyone has any questions, yes. 1,000. 1,000. Yes.
Questions. One is, did anyone, any authority, like, right, I don't know, but did anyone from public office come visit you? That question is, how you learn to play solar?
So the first thing, the premier, which is like the kind of like the governor of New South Wales, which is where Sydney is, it's one of the 5 states. He came to visit while I was in surgery. So he saw my parents and hung out with them. Otherwise, the prime minister did not. But this social, yeah, there were a few people, social services, she came, but you know, I think they could have done a little better, but yeah. Next question regarding the piano. So when I was like 7, I had 1 year of lessons from one of the students. As I said before, my parents would hire people to help keep us entertained. So learning how to play piano, he taught me for a year, and then at the end of the year, I was like 7. We had a graduation where I went to like the ballroom where there was like a grand piano, and I played for release, the whole thing. And then he graduated and moved, and then I stopped playing piano. A few years later, I stumbled upon and I realized that I couldn't play by ear. And since then I've been playing by ear. I have no idea how to do notes, but yeah, that's that. Any other questions? Yes. Yeah, no, it really was, it was something that it shifted my mind, and it shifted the fact that I was like losing energy and losing life force to all of a sudden like adrenaline kicking. I'm like, I'm gonna save myself, like I got this, which I found out later. I actually arrived at the hospital 5 minutes before it would have been too late to stop the bleeding. And the doctor told me, like, you saved yourself, you saved your own life because of you advocating for yourself, because of you holding in your own wound and all of those other things. Yeah, it's really powerful. Anyone else?
Health-wise, are you still recuperating? How close to, or close we can get to where you were prior?
Where I was prior, I will never be. The damage was extremely extensive. Physical therapy actively, trying to, you know, get back to physical strength. They said I shouldn't have too many after they did the reconstruction surgery where they took this, like pretty much half my leg, it's way smaller now, but they took it and put it in my stomach, and that created structural integrity, so I wouldn't have medical complications. As long as that took, which after 5 days of them checking with a like to check for a heartbeat in my stomach and my muscle, Like it basically was saying that the muscle took and they said I'm on the way to recovery, but at the same time, it can never be physical the same way again. But hopefully day-to-day life we'll be able to continue moving forward.
Let's just acknowledge that 6 months ago, Sean, be standing, speaking and playing for us this evening, which is incredibly remarkable.
Want to end out because how these are. We don't end up in sadly.
Questions? Yeah.
And what?
Any other questions?
The community is stronger now than we thought.
That is a great question. I would like to ask you to give a guess. I would like to ask you to give a guess.
You know what, my gut feel, so I haven't lived in Australia, we're not that in the cities. But one thing that seems to be what you said from the darkness becomes the light. So I hope in my wishes that from tragedy is so strong growth.
Yeah, it's really amazing. That's the correct answer because it's really amazing how they literally lost the rabbi who's running their community and the way they came together and they're still so active and they literally are like running off their heads because they don't have like proper leadership in the same way. The younger brother-in-law took over, but he's running all sorts of things and there's so much going on. The way the community has shown up in Australia as a whole, but specifically at Chabad of Bondi is something, and it's a testament to our answer. It's a testament to who we are as a people, and it's the most important thing. So
These assailants just independent, not associated sort of group.
they were on the terror watch list in Australia. They were connected with ISIS from Pakistan, but I think it was just from their own religious incentives. So yeah, either way, we're here. We've been here for thousands of years, and we're gonna be here forever.
Think about a summer goal that they do want to raise amongst family and friends and reach out, expand our pool. You see the link there. Signing up as an ambassador does not mean you're giving that. It means you're trying to help us raise that. Let's do it. We have a lot to be proud of. Have a good night.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So far, I like it a lot. That's a good plan. That's a good plan.
Yeah, it's fine.